Perhaps mandatory mask wearing might come back in certain settings.
That's right. It is something which has been discussed by the Cabinet today. Stephen Donnelly has been briefing his Cabinet colleagues about some of the threats that the health services faces this winter, because for the first time in a couple of years there's now flu circulating at a reasonable level as well, of course, in addition to the number of COVID-19 cases. And on that front, the indications have not been too good of late. For example, the numbers of cases that are in hospital, or people who are in hospital and who have tested positive for COVID-19, has risen somewhat significantly by the scale of around 25 or 30% inside the last fortnight. Now, it is still at levels that the health service believes to be manageable, but they are still awaiting the prospect that if another variant were to emerge and if the numbers were to continue to raise beyond where they currently are, that there could perhaps be a case where mandatory mask wearing might be reintroduced on public transport and on healthcare settings, areas in which they are still currently recommended as part of the public health advice, but they are not currently made mandatory. We've been speaking to some opposition parties today about the prospect of them returning on a mandatory basis.
If the advice is there that we need it, then we will support public health advice. I think it's prudent that the Minister and the Department are preparing for such a scenario. Hopefully it doesn't get to that. I think people now are living their lives in such a way as to minimise risk from COVID as best they can. But it is now part of our lives, and we'll just have to take public health advice if and when that arrives. That's been the position of the Labour Party throughout.
Let's let them do the things that they can do in terms of making schools safe, colleges safe, workplaces safe. They should send out quality N95 masks to every household, encourage people to wear it. So we start by encouraging people to wear it, educating people why they should wear it. I think that all should be done before we begin to talk about mandatory or anything else.
Now, government sources highlighting this lunchtime that this is not an imminent prospect, and they also point out that it would require a new law to be passed by the Dáil and Shannon, but merely Cabinet being updated as to what the prospective actions might be in the event of advice coming to the government that there should be mandatory mask wearing. But again, it is being framed on the prospect of perhaps there being a new variant of concern of COVID-19 beyond the Omicron variant that we're currently dealing with.
All right, Gavin, thank you for that.